reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a film from 2003. That movie is Final Destination 2. Now, when I got through the first Final Destination, oh my god, that movie. There was very little good about that movie. I will say, though, that if there was one thing I kind of liked about Final Destination, it was that the premise was sort of interesting about how a bunch of people will cheat death, and death, being the vengeful, childish thing that it is, will, go out and kill them. It was just the methods with which most of them died that seemed to just feel incredibly forced, tacked on, and kind of stupid. I'm sort of hoping that they fix that here. I'm hoping that our characters are given some, level of depth, so that way I'm not cheering for death to ice every single one of them over the course of 90 minutes. I honestly am just hoping for this to be a sequel that is a vast step up from the first one. Which, granted, that honestly isn't asking much, but damn it, at least it's asking for something. I'm really hoping, guys, that this movie is even halfway watchable, and the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Final Destination 2. Well, guys, I believe I've officially seen the coolest fucking kill in film history that ever had to do with a log. That was really fucking cool. Kind of sort of gruesome, too, considering the fact that I did not really think this series... This movie's definitely upping the fucking gore, factor. Just saw a fucking motorcyclist eat it, and it was kind of nasty and gory. Well, at least, honestly, guys, the movie's cooler looking and a little bit more explosive, too. Wow, this is a really awesome car wreck. Okay, well, I can tell you guys that at least the proper kills, the ones that are actually caused by death doing his vengeful thing, at least that first kill was awesome. It was kind of sort of lengthy, but still it was really fucking cool. I'm kind of sort of hoping that, I'm kind of hoping that pattern stays, because that was a really creative fucking kill. I actually kind of liked it. Okay, I have a stupid question. Well, it would normally be stupid, but for this franchise, it's not really as dumb as I probably think. So, Clear is the only survivor from the first film. She's sitting in a nut house, voluntarily in a nut house, thinking that death can't get her because she's in the nut house. She has an entire wall full of, newspaper clippings with string pinned from article to article like some kind of a lunatic. Are you telling me that death really has no way of getting at her from in there? She also has in there a television that could easily, explode and cause shards to hit her in the face. Isn't the fact that Clear Rivers is still alive show that this entire premise is fucking pointless and stupid? And that it doesn't stand? Look, she's standing right next to the fucking television! I don't care how tiny that fucking screen is, it could still frickin' explode and kill her, yet it hasn't. Which means that death's whole grand scheme thing means nothing, and literally every death in the first film and this one are all sheer fucking coincidence. Really dumb coincidences, but the very presence of Clear Rivers in this film absolutely kneecaps the very premise the movie is built on. My god, that kinda sucks, man. Well, that kill was certainly cool. Alright, guys, I will totally say that this movie at least has made the kills a little bit more interesting. Considering the fact that our characters all kind of suck, and the plot is the very same plot as the first one, I guess really having cool kills is the only thing that I actually have to work with here. And so far, so fucking good. That was really satisfying. So wait a minute. So you can't even cheat Death's plan to kill you after you cheat Death? Holy shit. Guys, as stupid as everything has been, to see somebody attempt to commit suicide and the gun jamming because they don't want Death to fucking take him out, that is absolute brilliance. That's fucking amazing, dude. So, wait. So, cops, firefighters, and EMTs all showed up at the scene, and instead of working on the jagged plastic pipe that was sticking out of her car, they focused on getting the door jimmied open first. Wouldn't you logically take the pipe out so that way if something like, oh, say the airbag goes off, her head isn't rocketed into the jagged piece of pipe jutting out of the back of her car seat? You know, guys, it's moments like this that kind of sort of make this movie feel a little bit stupid, is just the sheer lack of logic. But at least that was followed up by a really awesome kill with a flying piece of barbed wire fence, so at least that's a positive. Well, that ending was a little bit dumb. Let's shut that off. Well, guys, that was Final Destination 2. Okay, I have a small problem. I want you guys to just hear me out here. This is a similar problem I had with the fucking Trancers movies, in that this film doesn't know what the fuck kind of rules it officially wants in place for their, I guess, universe. Let me see if I can explain this. So, the first film, Death was stalking these people who all got off of a plane, theoretically in the order that they would have died if they were on the plane when the plane exploded. This film wants to work backwards because apparently, this is gonna sound so fucking weird, it's working backwards because all the people who would have died in the car wreck who were saved at the last minute all had cheated death before, and all of those cheated moments tied into the people who got off the plane. That was absolutely retarded. But also the whole thing about how new fucking life is able to undo death, and how that apparently is a big crock of shit if the ending is anything to go by. Guys, I want to know right now, what are the rules for death in this series, okay? If you cheat death, are you guaranteed to die? If so, is it going to be a quick thing like everybody in all these movies, or is it going to be like Clear, where you can hang out for a fucking year and have death just sort of go, well, fine, go ahead, stay there? No, assholes. If death is gunning for you, death is gunning for you. Death is not going to take out every other person that has fucked over his list and then leave you alive regardless of where the fuck you are. That doesn't make any sense. If Death had this massive boner to kill everybody who had cheated him or cheated it in this whole grand accident thing, then why let you survive for this long? Oh, because we need a tie into the first film. I guess that's the only real reason that we need some way of tying this into the first film outside of constantly bludgeoning us with the fact that it's been a year since Flight fucking 180 crashed. Let me tell you guys, I didn't give a shit when the plane blew up in the first movie. I don't need you bludgeoning me with the fact that it's been 1 year since in order to sort of justify, a bunch of dumb shit. Our characters here, similar to the first film, are lifeless and shallow, and I'm more than happy to see every single one of them die. Our story is a carbon copy of the first film. Guys, it was sort of interesting when one of the kids on the plane was having a fucking vision of the plane exploding, and then decided to, vacate the plane at the last second and kind of sort of bumblefuck a bunch of people to go with him. When you do that exact same thing in the second movie, except it's in a car and it's on an on-ramp and the vision is a massive car wreck, and you basically just block off traffic, thus basically saving every single person behind you, that doesn't feel any different. And while I'm on the subject of that, let me see if I've got this straight. So the whole thing about death, they have this idiotic rule that they kind of toy with and they never really cash in on fully. If you save someone's life, then you get pushed to the back of death's list for reasons. Or correction, if someone saves your life when you were the next one destined to die, you get pushed to the back of Death's list for whatever goofy fuck off, reason, and Death will just continue to pick off everybody else. Why? That didn't make any sense in the first film. It makes even less sense now. Guys, and they brought it up, and they basically brought it up because it was a point made in the first film. It's one of those things that sort of ties into all this, like, carbon fucking copy bullshit. Do you want to know how bad a carbon copy this is, guys? Tony fucking Todd has a cameo in this movie for no other reason than the fact that he had the exact same cameo saying almost the exact same shit in the first fucking film. This thing is one of the most lazily written turds I think I've ever seen. Because there's no reason for any of this to happen. And while I'm thinking about this, and I keep thinking about this more and more and more, they keep trying to write this as this big, deep, deep story about how you can't cheat death, and if you do, then it basically causes this giant fucking rift, and Death is trying to fix that rift. Well, pardon me for blowing a couple of holes into this. There's no way in shit that the kids on the plane were the first people to ever cheat Death and thus cause this rift to happen. So, if those people lived, and then they saved the lives of the people who are in the second film, then their presence still being here instead of being dead would then cause a further rift, which would then cause whoever would have died as a result of them to also live. It just keeps on going. Technically, nobody should be fucking dead if this rift continues to, blossom out the way that it fucking does. I don't see how killing these people is going to stop the people the people who are still alive, because the people here didn't die when they were supposed to, because they were fucking distracted by news stories about the deaths of the assholes in the first film. I have a feeling that the third movie is going to have that very same scene too, where everyone's like, "Oh well, I was just sitting there, and I then heard this news story about this guy who was cut into pieces by a big chunk of barbed wire fence, and if I hadn't walked away from watching that, and if I would have walked away from watching that, I would have been shot by a mugger." We are going to get that because they fucking do that. All of them are in the car, and they all talk about how they were able to cheat Death before. And every single one of those cheated moments ties back into the victims of the first film. It was such a colossal bullshit move on this movie's part. Guys, you can only stretch your suspension of disbelief so far before you just give up. And when everybody is sitting in the fucking car and they're driving to the hospital because they have to try to make sure that new fucking life shows up in order to cheat Death and all this other idiotic shit. And then each one tells the story about how they cheated Death because of some shit involving one of the survivors from the first film. That just sounded really fucking stupid. And that basically means that this fucking rift, which fucking Clear was talking about, is not going to end when all of them die. And I don't think it's going to end when new life that wasn't part of Death's plan gets worked in. And while I'm on the subject of this whole new fucking life bullshit, why the hell do they think that this one pregnant, woman who was saved from the car wreck giving birth is going to fuck over Death's, plan? She was far along in her pregnancy. That fetus is technically a person, and if she would have died in the car wreck, it would also have died. It was still part of Death's plan. So to basically think that if she goes and gives birth, it basically then forces Death to have to clear the fucking slate, that's stupid. But then again, everything in this goddamn movie is stupid in terms of writing. Guys, I could talk about the problems this thing has in terms of writing all fucking day, but I really don't want to. In fact, I really don't want to finish watching these, but I've got 3 more left. Oh, Jesus Christ. So, the writing here is substantially worse than what was in the second film, because it's basically trying to bullshit its way into the world of ass-backwards logic that the first film was living off of. What about the acting? Well, the acting wasn't too bad. I can say that much. As awful as the writing is, The acting isn't too bad. Oh, I should mention one thing though about writing is at least the kills here are a little bit better. The kills here actually feel as if they may be some kind of fucking like coincidental thing. Minus things like the actually, yeah. Well, no, actually, even that kind of feels almost more like a like coincidence thing, such as like the water leak that leads to a fucking like bunch of sparks. But that actually didn't even lead to a kill. That led to a near kill. But that though was sort of a nice little like play along. There was also a little bit with gas that was trailing fucking down a pipe, and that also at least felt like it would have kind of naturally worked. We didn't have the idiotic vodka fucking coffee cup kill that we had in the first film, and we don't have sentient power lines chasing people. The closest we have is hospital fucking machines are just randomly rolling away from a victim and unfucking plugging. And even then that was sort of was sort of to cause a spark that would have blown up all of the pure oxygen which was in the fucking room. Which, granted, that right there is about as close to a fucking shitbag kill as we get in this movie. Otherwise, everything else actually feels kind of sort of natural, which is leagues better than what was in the first film. If I honestly am going to praise anything in this movie, in terms of writing, at least the kills weren't fucking stupid. So, unfortunately, guys, you can have the coolest goddamn kills on the planet in a horror movie, and it's not going to mean anything if you aren't personally invested enough in the story, the characters, or anything else to actually get to that point. It basically, guys, is torture getting up to each of these kills. So, yeah, it's just not a well written movie. I just kind of sort of remembered the kills. I wanted to bring those up. The acting here though is certainly solid. At least everybody here is, fucking trying, which I do have to say again is nothing short of a miracle, considering the fact that normally, guys, when a script is this fucking awful, a cast normally just will not fucking care. But here they actually tried. So bravo, guys! You actually were able to work fucking miracles and make make a shitty script almost work because your acting wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, that honestly is a mountain that good acting is never going to be able to totally clear. Horrible writing, guys, is almost like a guarantee that will kill. It pretty much is a guaranteed kill for almost any film. All right, when your fucking writing is lazy and stupid and bullshit, you can have the most interesting kills in the history of horror cinema. You can have acting worthy of fucking Oscars. None of that is going to mean shit because no one is going to care about your fucking story. Now, what about everything else? What about, like, special effects? Special effects here are certainly awesome. I honestly really liked a whole lot of the special effects, especially the ramped up gore in this film compared to the first one. The first one was relatively gore, free, minus one, maybe two fucking kills. This thing, though, guys, one of our victims is crushed by a window being held up by a crane, and you actually see the window come down and flatten him, and it looks amazing. The final kill in the film is someone being blown up by a fucking grill, and it looked awesome. I'm gonna tell you guys, the gore, I think, is kind of... the gore and the blood and the pyrotechnics are all kind of sort of what make these kills work. Because they actually do kind of sort of feed into a little bit of a bloodlust, which a whole lot of horror fans have. A lot of us love to see blood and gore. And when it's done well, it looks amazing. And that is exactly what happened here. Again, though, the writing renders all of that completely fucking moot. Anyway, Our soundtrack here is decent. I kind of find it weird that they don't have any kind of like a musical fucking tell like they were trying to hint at in the first film, which once more even further renders the John fucking Denver connection in the first film completely pointless when you're not even going to cash in on it in your sequels, like at all. It's like no. You cannot set up something and then take it away and then hope and pray that no one notices. But still, at least, guys, the soundtrack is decent. We don't have any sort of like musical tell-on kills, but that's totally fine. Especially since they kind of botched that in the first movie anyway. So I guess it's probably better that they didn't try that kind of shit now. Our camera work here is fine. Our lighting here is fine. Our sound mix is good. Guys, ultimately, this fucking movie shines everywhere except in the one spot where it matters the most, and that is writing. And because of that, there's no way in hell I'm going to recommend Final Destination 2. There is no reason for you to have to sit there and watch this entire torturous waste of 90 minutes. Guys, there is a reason why there are YouTube videos dedicated entirely to the kills in these films. Because the writing is that fucking bad. These people who are putting up these kill fucking montages are doing you a favor because they're cutting out all of the stupid bullshit and leaving you with the kill. And honestly, guys, if the fucking kill is the only thing which the filmmakers care about, then why the fuck bother watching everything else? Just go onto YouTube, go and find a video of Final fucking Destination 2 kills, and have fun with it. It's going to be infinitely better than the 90-minute turd I just sat through. Now, Final Destination 2, as well as the first one, the third one, and the fourth one, all came off the Amazon wish list from the same guy, and it's my friend Stu. Please, guys, swing on over to his channel. That is youtube.com/user/thevodkahaze. Stu, I totally thank you, because again, I was really curious about this series. It's really sad that across two films, there's only about five fucking minutes worth of decent stuff, and that's all of the kills. But still, I honestly would not have known that if you hadn't have sent these in, and for that, I thank you. I really do hope that the third and fourth films are at least marginally better. Otherwise, this whole thing is going to be a real torturous run. Once more, guys, it is youtube.com/user/thevodkahaze. Now, I kind of feel like watching something that has a high emphasis on kills, but actually has writing that's halfway decent. I'm going to go watch a couple of the Saw movies. In fact, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, as shit as the writing was in the later Saw films, it's fucking Shakespeare compared to the shit in these movies. So, I'm going to go and do that, and I'm going to have to steal my will a little bit for when I have to watch Final Destination 3. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.